change the permissions is by a command called chmod, and this is, I think, the last thing we'll probably learn for today. So you can say chmod. You can see that these two files that I own do not have execute permissions, which is indicated by a hyphen there. So let's say I want to make these files executable. In this case, it doesn't make much sense, but for example, if you wrote a little Perl script or something and you want to execute it without having to say Perl this, you can add execute permissions to this file. And the way you're going to specify those permissions is by using a short form called U. So U stands for user, G will stand for group, and then A stands for all. So U, G, and A specifies which permission you are trying to change. So you won't always be able to change permissions for all because that's something reserved for system administrators. But I can certainly change permissions on a file that I own because I'm the owner of this file. So I'm going to say that I want to add user level execute permissions. So I'm saying, as a user, give me execute permissions, which is indicated by this plus sign. And in the similar way, if you specify U minus X, it's going to take away the execute permissions. So I'm going to say, give me execute permissions on test.fa. So now if I go back and do a long listing, you can see that the color of that file changed, indicating that it has become executable. It's not going to execute in this case because it's not really an executable file, but because we set the execute bit to true, the system now is recognizing it as an executable file. If I go back and use a minus X, it will reset the file to its original form. So this is something you obviously have to be careful about as you try to change permissions. So the thing I had referred to previously, let me go back and add execute permissions. Even though this is not going to work, let's say if this was a true Perl script, since this is now labeled as an executable, I will be able to run it like this. So I can just say that run this program that is in the current directory by doing this. Too confusing? It's fine. We can just leave it at that. But it's not. But if this was a true Perl script, you will be able to run it like this. Because remember, we were saying just nano or something, or you had to provide the full path. But since now we are in this directory and this file is marked as executable, by doing this, the system is recognizing it and it's trying to run it. So if I do this, it's not. Nano is different because remember, nano is not present in the local directory. Nano is already somewhere else. So for that, we don't need. So, but let's say that nano was in a directory that was not in your path. In that case, you will basically have to give the full path to nano like this, and then run. That's one. And for example, if I wanted to give someone else access to a file that they don't have read permissions, for example, you could do that. You could put something in netscratch, your onion directory, and then change permissions on the. So we could go up. For example, let's go to let's do a long listing of. You can see that there is tens of directories that are under netscratch. So all of these are users basically that have accounts in the system. And by default, as I said, you are able to basically read and execute things that may be in anyone's directories here. It's set up that way. So for example, if you were the paranoid kind, you would want to go and say chmod g minus read x. So let's say I want to remove the read and execute permissions from my netscratch directory. I'll do it this way and do netscratch Kelkar. So you no longer will be able to see look in that directory. And if I did that for A, now that basically means is only I and obviously the system administrators will be able to look into that directory. But no one else will be able to see or look inside those directories. So as you can see here, some people are labeled as graduate students automatically. So based on what classification you are in, you will be assigned to a common group. This is obviously employee. Someone here was an employee group. And then there's others like me who don't have a permanent home. So, and if you're a faculty, you will have the right kind of group. As I said, you obviously can be assigned to multiple groups, and you're able to switch between the groups as well. That's a command called new group. I will leave it up to you to learn about it by using the man command. So that's all I was planning to cover today. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer. Otherwise, enjoy the beautiful afternoon out there. Oh, remember to exit is going to log you out. So exit is how you exit. The thing to remember is if you have multiple shell windows open like this, you have to exit out of each of those shells, because as long as you stay logged into one of the shell windows, you're still logged into the server. So you have to exit out of each shell window that you have opened till you completely log out. So now I'm logged out of all the shells.